So you're looking to buy a property in BC and you don't know where to start. Well, why not start with a timeline? In this video, I'm going to explain to you the timeline for purchasing a property in the province of British Columbia, but not just a general timeline. We're going to go through each step all the way until the day you get the keys. This channel is dedicated to educating people about real estate, specifically in my marketplace of Surrey, BC, but also across Canada. Please remember to click and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Remember, it is my job to educate, and it is your job by clicking that like button to help push this information out to more future homeowners who are interested in discovering what the process is when they're looking to purchase a property in British Columbia. So where do we start? Well, some people start at different points. Some people start off by speaking with a mortgage broker to find out what they can afford. Others will talk to a realtor first. And some people skip both of these steps completely and go directly into looking at homes. Actually, pre-virus open house was probably where most people would start. They would then use that excitement that they get in finding a house that they like and then go ahead and contact an agent. I'm going to suggest that this is most usual. However, it's not the most effective way to actually get into your home that you want. In most places in the world, you can still use the listing agent to help you purchase your home. But in BC, you can't, since the prohibition of limited dual agency was introduced in 2018. So a better way to start is to speak to a broker or a realtor first. Well, which one is better? Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. I think, obviously, because I am an agent, that starting with an agent is the best place. But like I said, I am one, so obviously I'm biased. So let's say you do take my advice and you line up an agent first. Well, now what? Traditionally, most buyers of real estate just want to get into properties because really that is the fun part. But if you're working with an agent that has your best interests at heart, likely they should recommend some sort of a consultation, some sort of a sit down so you can go over exactly what it is you're looking for. So what does that consult look like? Well, it depends on the agent you work with. Some agents will have a 15 or 20-minute phone call to discover what it is you're looking for. Realistically, you should probably have a sit down, even though these days that happens online via Zoom. Pre-virus, we would sit down with a client in the office and go over all of their specific needs. So in this consult, you're going to put together a plan, and the two biggest parts of this plan are going to be, one, identifying your needs in order to help you find a home that fits those needs, and two, identifying your budget to make sure your needs also fit the budget. So this is why it doesn't matter if you speak to a broker first or a realtor first, because you will need both unless you're buying all cash, which is almost never the case, especially if you're watching this video. Because you're watching this video, you're likely in the market as a newbie or getting used to it. So therefore, you're probably younger and don't have just bags full of money sitting around. So let's say now we did sit down and we went over all of your needs, but now we have to refer you to a bank or a broker to find out what you can afford. Well, how long should that take? Well, in reality, it should only take as long as it takes you to get your documentation to the broker. The broker will want to verify your income, your employment, your down payment, and credit. Normally, this can be done in a business day or two, but delays are usually in the actual client, that's you, getting that information to the broker themselves. So delays can be things like trying to get bank statements, income tax statements, letters of employment from your employer, because you will need that in order to qualify for a mortgage. When the lender has all that information, not only are they going to give you a specific mortgage amount that you can likely pre-qualify, or that you're pre-qualified for now, but they're also going to look at which lender is going to be right for you, because people focus on rates, but they don't focus on other terms in the mortgage, and you'll get murdered in the fine print. So rely on your mortgage broker to find out which mortgage is right for you. And let me tell you, it is not always the right or the lowest. It is not always the lowest rate. The right mortgage could be many different things depending on your needs. So now your realtor knows exactly what you're looking for, and your broker has given you a budget. What's next? Well, this is the fun part. This is when you get to go shopping, but you're going to have to heavily rely on your agent here to help get you into properties, obviously, but you're going to have to rely on their knowledge of market conditions, on not only when to see properties, but when to offer on properties and which property might be best suited for you. So this is the part, the shopping part. This is the part that can vary widely. I've had some clients who've asked to see a single property, offered on it that night, and received an accepted offer. Other buyers might be less experienced or undecided about exactly what they're looking for, or in a competitive market. And they may take weeks or even months before they make an offer, or before one of their offers gets accepted. Because remember, right now, anyway, our market is very, very busy, and you might be writing offers and they may not be getting accepted. But that's okay. Most agents are in this business for the long haul, so they're not necessarily concerned if you buy today. You shouldn't feel pressure to buy today. However, most agents will probably pressure you to buy sooner, specifically in this market, because prices are going up. So if it takes a little while, it's okay. You see, because most good agents are going to be in this business for the long haul. So they're not necessarily tied to if you buy today or if you buy many months down the road, because they're going to need a paycheck and be working down the road as well. And most agents are much more worried about having happy long-term clients that are going to sell their house with them again in the future than they are pressuring them into a sale today. You may feel pressured into a sale today, but hopefully your realtor is advising you due to the fact that, for instance, right now prices are going up. So you may not find that this is the perfect property, but when the perfect property does come up, you may be paying considerably more for it now. So your agent may be saying, hey guys, I know this one isn't a 10 out of 10, but it's an 8 out of 10. Maybe we should take a stab at it. I will say, however, and please note this, if you're a buyer and you're seeing multiple properties, once you hit about 15 properties, if you haven't made an offer, I don't think you're going to be very successful in your purchase. And here's why I say that, because here is the plan. We're going to go out the first time and we're going to see, let's call it 3, maybe 5 properties. These may vary greatly, maybe big, small, different areas, different price points, because what we're trying to do is get you into a funnel and narrow down exactly what it is you're looking for, because what people say they want and what they see in person are often very different things. And then your agent, seeing your reaction, should be able to narrow down those properties that fit for you on your next trip out, because you're probably going to take a next trip out, right? Like, let's say you went out on Saturday, you looked at some homes, and you plan on going out to look at new homes again next Saturday. Well, the next, say, 3 to 5 listings you're looking at in the second week should check all of the boxes. If they're not checking all of the boxes, then either you or your agent has missed something. Once you hit about 15 properties, you start becoming a little bit frustrated with the scenario, feeling it like you'll never quite find that perfect place. So if you are seeing 15 properties and you still haven't purchased one, well, that can be a problem. It's a slightly different problem than if you're offering on a property and your offers aren't getting accepted. If you do find properties you like, but it's a competitive market, that's a separate problem. But if you see 15 properties and you don't like any of them, my recommendation is to sit back down with your agent and go over, why are we identifying currently the wrong properties? None of these interest me. Is it my expectations are too high? And that could be it. I hate to tell you, but it could be that your expectations for your budget, we call it a beer budget and champagne taste, right? Kind of jokingly in the industry. But you do need to narrow down. Maybe you need to change areas. Maybe you need to change expectation. And then maybe you need to change the type of product that you're looking at, because you're here to buy a home. You're not just doing this to go out and look at houses, right? You're here to buy a home. And let's say you do look between, I don't know, 4 and 8 houses. I find that to be the sweet spot. First time out, 3 to 5, next time out, 3 to 5, you should be finding the perfect place. And let's say you do. What then? Well, again, this depends on you and your agent's recommendations about current market conditions. If you're in a buyer's market, you may be able to wait overnight and think about it before writing an offer and take your time. Some properties will even stay on the market in a buyer's market, maybe even up to 60 days or more. However, if you're in a balanced market, you may want to act today, putting something on paper now, because a balanced market is still quite active. However, often when markets are balanced, you can book a second showing, maybe for the following day, have your family or trusted advisor come along for a second opinion on the house. In a balanced market, properties may stay on the market for 14 to 60 days. But remember, the good ones still go very, very fast. In a seller's market, though, now you're working on the seller's timeline. Generally, in a seller's market, a property will sell within 0 to 7 days. And the reason it might be as many as 7 days is because they've actually delayed offers, because they have so many viewings. They've actually delayed offers until the following week. So what that does is they bring a property on the market on, say, a Wednesday. They'll show all weekend long and then look at offers on Monday or Tuesday, giving every buyer, and there may be many, many of them, a chance to put their best offer on paper. So let's recap that. In a buyer's market, a property can come on the market and you may be able to take your time, go look at it next week or maybe even a month down the road in order to make your decision. You got a lot of time in a buyer's market. In a balanced market, you should act quickly, write your offer, but you might actually get a chance to think about it. And in a seller's market, well, now you have to play ball with the seller and make your offer the best offer on the plate. A seller's market is usually not a time to negotiate down or try and get the seller to give in. Usually you have to be the best offer in order for the seller to accept yours over top of others. For more about market conditions and inventory levels, please go back and watch this video. So now you're going to make an offer. So let's say your agent presents that offer. So you put something down on paper, your agent takes that and ideally presents in person. Given the virus going on right now, presenting in person hasn't been a thing for a year. But ideally, you should hear back that day. The sellers often have a misconception that they have the ability to think about an offer overnight. And well, that's not really the case. The buyer determines how long that offer is open until. So this gets a little sticky. You want to leave your offer open long enough that they can respond and not too short of a time that you tick them off and they're unable to respond. It's important to note that if the acceptance time passes that is on the contract, the deal is dead and a new contract has to be written. And this is actually where a lot of agents will get themselves in hot water with counsel because they will resurrect a dead deal. And that's a whole different ball of wax that you do not want to get into. Now, let's say your offer is accepted and you are in a balanced market. Well, you've probably negotiated a subject or condition removal period of 5 to 14 days. Now, this is where you get to start doing your due diligence. Step one is to make your mortgage broker happy. So this is usually the hardest condition. Financing is always the hardest condition. You want to now, as soon as you have that accepted offer, get it off to your broker. Hopefully your agent's already done that for you. And now all I say about financing is make your broker happy. You should be in contact with them at least every single day and getting the documents they require. Next, you'll likely have some other conditions: disclosures, titles, insurance. These are all relatively easy things to satisfy, to read the documentation, but some people get a little bit sloppy and they leave it until the last minute. My idea is you should probably even read those disclosures, the title, and verify insurance, possibly even prior to making your offer. But let's say you do get conditions. Those are really easy to do. You just have to make time to read the documents. Now, if you're buying a strata property, which is very, very common in BC, lots of strata properties out there, you're also going to review minutes. Now, this is the same thing. You're going to be reviewing documents of the strata corporation. It will take some time. This will take a lot more time, and you got to get on it. You don't want to leave it to the last day. And it is your job to read them. Your agent in BC will also read through them, but they may not be able to identify things that are very particular to your needs and use of the contract. I do know that in other provinces, there are actually companies that will review them and give them the summary. But in my opinion, that shouldn't take the liability off of you, the purchaser. You're buying the property. You should probably read the strata's documentation and make sure you understand what's going on in the complex. And lastly, inspection. Now, some people will do their inspection first, but I'm going to recommend that you do your inspection as the last condition. So probably on the last day of your subject removal. And here's why. The inspection costs money. You're actually going to pay an inspector to come and look at the property. And all the other conditions, they just take your time, right? Like all the documentation, that's time. So you're going to do that first. Getting your mortgage is not an expense. It's something that has to be done, but it's not an out of pocket expense. So inspection is the last thing I want you to do, because I want all the other stuff to be lined up, all your other conditions to be lined up first before you go ahead and actually pay for an inspection. So let's say all goes smoothly with inspection and you want to proceed. By 11:59 on the subject removal date, you have to 11:59 p.m. on the subject removal date, you have to remove those conditions in writing or the deal is dead. And that is another option. If financing didn't work out or inspection or something went wrong there, you can walk away from the deal at that point. You probably should release the contract. But if the 11:59 p.m. on subject removal day surpasses or goes away without you actually removing your conditions, the deal is now dead. But let's say you do remove the conditions and you have bought a home. Congratulations, that's it. You have actually purchased a property and now you are in a firm and binding contract. Well, mostly, because within a certain time of acceptance to removing conditions, you have negotiated in your contract when you will pay the deposit. And often in BC, deposits get negotiated within 24 hours of final subject removal. Again, that is all negotiable. And so is the deposit. Actually, the deposit is often about 5% of the overall purchase price, is usually what gets negotiated. And again, this is all usually because it is an open contract and you can negotiate terms. I'm just telling you specifically, we usually see 5% down and usually see 24 hours of subject removal. Within 24 hours of that period is when you're going to actually pay the deposit, and that deposit will be held likely by your brokerage. So there you go. Congratulations. You've bought a property, you've removed conditions, paid deposit, everything's done. Sold sticker is on the sign and the listing comes off of the MLS. But now what? When do you even move in? Well, the original contract you offered will have negotiated a completion date. And pay attention, because this is where BC is different from other parts of the country. BC has 3 dates in the contract. First is completion. This is the day that the money changes hands, and this must happen on a weekday and preferably not on a Friday. If you put it on a Friday, your lawyer is going to be a little bit ticked at you. This completion date will, and the next 2 dates for that matter, will have been negotiated, as I said, in the original contract. A 30-day closing or completion from the time the deal goes firm is considered to be a fairly quick close. We have even seen them happen as fast as 14 days. You probably won't get faster than that if you have a mortgage, because usually banks will not fund. A normal completion, however, will be, let's call it 60 to 90 days or 2 to 3 months. And a long completion will be as many as 90 to 120 days. Now, the reason a completion should not be longer than 120 days is most banks will not actually guarantee your approval, your mortgage approval, for more than 120 days. So if you do have a completion that is longer than that, you may actually have to go back and re-qualify for your mortgage. And that might mean a higher interest rate. But there's another reason as well. Over 120 days, the market may actually shift, either going up or down. So if the market goes up too much, the seller may be left feeling like they're not getting enough money for their property that they just sold by the time the completion comes around. And the reverse is as well too. If the market starts to slide down, you, the buyer, may actually feel like you paid too much by the time the property closes. The next date is the possession date. Now, in most areas, possession is the next day after completion. You'll actually receive keys from the lawyer, but not in BC. In BC, the possession date is negotiated in the contract. And in my opinion, this is actually a good thing. Having, say, 2 to 5 days between completion and possession actually allows the different owners to complete on their purchases at different times. And it helps keep all the sales in line and making sure nobody ends up having to bridge finance at an extra cost or end up in a hotel overnight. Being stuck in a hotel overnight with all of your worldly possessions jammed into your moving van sitting in the Motel 6 parking lot, probably not a very good thing. Last is the adjustment date. This aids the possession date by moving things like property taxes into line with the timeline of possession rather than completion. This is only fair. If you aren't in the home, you probably shouldn't be paying for it. Oh, and did I mention in BC, it's actually customary for your agent to get you the keys on the possession day. You see, in BC, we actually meet you at the property upon possession and have a chance to walk through and address anything that sellers may either have left behind or anything that needs repair. In other provinces, you may actually get the keys from the lawyer and the realtors will not be present. So if you do have a problem with, let's say, a fridge that's broken down, well, tell you the truth, I can't even give you advice there because I don't work in those provinces. And that's it. You got keys, you move on in. And from the start of this process, the time you really get serious, you might get advice from someone like me really far in advance. But from the time you get serious, hopefully you're somewhere between 30 and 180 days, and you're actually walking through the door of the property that you're going to live in for the next 4+ years. Why 4+ years? Well, I should probably do that discussion in another video. Thanks for watching. If you've learned anything here today, remember, please hit that like button. It really helps us get this information out to more people that we can then help. And if you're still watching and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so now. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.